Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host TC, and today I will be reviewing the Bataleon Evil Twin Plus. This board is equipped with Bataleon's medium camber with a medium 3BT and sidekick. So in layman's terms, you have that traditional camber right all the way until the contact points, and then a spoon nose and tail, and that's just going to help with reducing edge catch and helping with float and getting in and out of turns a little bit easier. This board comes in a 151, 154, 156 wide, 157, 159, and a 159 wide. I rode this board at Copper Mountain where it was a sunny day, but man was it windy. When we were on the chairlift, the wind would grab the board, blow you sideways. Apart from that, it was a pretty nice groomer day. There were some icy spots, but nothing too crazy. Most of the time you would find a fresh groomer with really no push piles to speak of. I used my Ride Fuse boots and Jones Mercury bindings. When we're talking overall flex on this board, it is in the middle of the road, I would say, where on the nose and the tail, it does feel a little bit softer just because of that spoon in it. And right in between the feet, you're sitting right in the middle of the road. Torsionally, I would say it matches the overall flex very well there. So you might feel a little resistance to it, but you could still foot steer with no problem. Now, when we're talking stability, it felt fairly stable. It did a really good job of cutting down on all of those micro vibrations, so I really didn't feel that. But it had a little bit of a lively feeling to it as opposed to being super damp or anything like that, where you did feel a little bit, but honestly, it just keeps you honest. When you're loading this board up to ollie, the main thing to keep in mind is since the tail and the nose are a little bit softer, you really don't have to put all of that much energy into it, where the energy you do put in will return, but it's not like you have to load it up a day in advance or anything like that. When you feel like popping this thing, it'll just do it for you. Now, when you're taking it off of jumps or anything like that, as long as you have the right speed and just a slight pop, it'll take you right to the landing nice and comfortably. It doesn't buck you or anything like that where you get thrown a little front seat or even a little back seat because it didn't pop quite as much. Now, I did spin this board off of jumps, and I'll say make sure you're not putting the contact points down first. You want to land bolts on this thing just so it feels very stable in all of that. Where you set that edge, it's going to hold that edge, give you that confidence once you kind of figure it out. Now, when you are hitting jumps, I would say keep it to that medium or smaller line. You go to anything a little bigger, you might feel a little flap in the nose and tail, and it might not feel as stable for you. Make sure you like, subscribe, click that bell, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any content we have coming out. When you're going to press this board or butter it on the tail or the nose, just like I said before, it is a little softer, so it feels a little bit easier to do on. So when you shift your hips to that tail, it wants to hold. Same with the nose. It's pretty much the exact same, where it's just a simple shift of the hips. Right where this graphic turns black to white is pretty much that sweet spot. So when you put your hips right over that sweet spot, it's gonna hold. It will pop you out a little bit. Now, when that translates into jibbing, what you're gonna notice is if you're coming from the top rope, you're coming in real hot, trying to disaster or gap two or anything like that. Keep in mind, when you're sliding in between your feet, it felt a little clanky and kind of wanted to spring me off of it. So if you didn't come in perfectly, just keep in mind that it might want to pop you off of that rail, or what's going to happen is it's going to load up and spring you right off. When you do come in perfect, it's totally fine. It just lands on it, felt normal, held really well in between my feet. When I was pressing on a rail or a ledge, it was super easy, just like jibbing. Quick shift of the hips. That nose pops up, it wants to hold there. It didn't take a lot of effort or a crazy balancing act by any means. This board left a little bit to be desired, I would say, when carving it, just because you don't have that effective edge all the way to the contact point to really lay in those carves. At those shorter carves, like when approaching a rail or a smaller size jump, it does totally fine. It's easy to get it edge to edge, no problem. When you're getting to those medium or larger carves, it'll hold up. I would say just kind of keep it at those slower speeds just because you don't have that long effective edge. It does Euro carve. I would say definitely keep it at the more mellow speed where you're not trying to break any records or anything like that. But it will carve. Just make sure you know it does have a top speed limit on it. This board is made for that guy or girl that is a little bit park curious. They're that intermediate rider that kind of wants to advance a little bit more, and they're thinking about getting into the park a little bit more, where if it's not their day, they're just gonna go cruise all mountain, have a good time. But when they're feeling it, they're gonna try to get in there, grease up some rails, hit some jumps, just progress a little bit more. If you want to support us further, head on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP. Sure, I could explain it here, but we have a great video over there getting into it really in depth. I thought this board was fun. I honestly forgot that it was a 159 wide. Like, it felt more like a 55 or something like that. And it honestly didn't even feel like a wide to me, where it got over like edge to edge a lot faster than I expected, where it was fun. It did have enough stability for me. Is it gonna be my daily driver? No, but I definitely understand who the customer is for, that intermediate guy, that sort of thing, where still a great board, just not 100% for me. Comparable boards: the Roam Agent Pro, the Ride Zero, and the Nidecker Gamma APX. Recommended bindings: the Bataleon Blaster Asym, the Union Force, and the Salomon District Pro. This has been my review of the Bataleon Evil Twin Plus. If you liked it, make sure you go and check out the review we have for the Bataleon Blaster Asym.